The memorial for Doug was supposed to be a quiet moment of grief, a collective breath of sorrow shared by a wounded community. Yet beneath the flickering candles and somber whispers, a storm was waiting to be unleashed. In a single, merciless moment, the fragile illusion of peace shattered like glass under the weight of a truth too dark to be ignored. Randy's revelation did not just expose a crime, it ignited a fire that would consume trust, loyalty, and the fragile bonds that had held this community together. What began as a solemn gathering to honor the dead became the stage for betrayal, rage, and the unraveling of everything they thought they knew. The memorial took place in the elegant space of the large hall, where candles were lined up on both sides of the aisle, reflecting a dim light on the cold glass walls. The air was heavy, as if everyone's breath was being pressed by something invisible. The whispers and suppressed cries could not cover up the tension that permeated the room. Everyone expected this to be a solemn memorial, where Doug's death was covered with words of comfort, words of praise for a man gone too soon. No one expected that behind that gloomy shell, a storm was hidden. Randy stood in the middle of the crowd, his eyes cold and sharp as a knife. In the moment when everyone was still bowing their heads in memory, he pressed the button to play the video that had been prepared for a long time. The large screen above the stage suddenly lit up, breaking the solemn atmosphere. No one had time to react as the image became clear, Joey handing a suitcase of cash to a stranger, his face blurry but etched in the viewer's mind. Then came cuts of preparations, calls, transactions. All of it coming together to form a complete picture, and it was brutally incriminating for Joey. For the first few seconds, the room was dead silent, as if all the air had been sucked out. Then the sound shattered. Sharp intakes of breath, chairs falling, muffled screams from all around. Danny staggered back, eyes wide with disbelief. Joey, in his formal black suit, suddenly became pitifully small. His face was frozen, his hands trembling slightly, as if the world had just collapsed on him. But the collapse was only just beginning. As the light in the room still blazed as the video ended, police sirens blared outside. The front door swung open. The police entered with a cold, unhesitating arrest warrant. All eyes turned to Joey. Some panicked, some were stunned, some looked at him as if they were witnessing a beast revealed behind a mask of elegance. As the cold handcuffs tightened around his wrists, Joey was no longer the powerful businessman, no longer the man he had once been honored, but a man stripped bare, exposed to the harsh light of truth. Danny fell to her knees as if stabbed in the heart. A series of memories flashed through her mind, family meals, evenings filled with laughter, trusting handshakes. All of it was a farce now. She realized those moments were just a cover for a pre-planned plot. Doug was dead. Not by fate, but by a deliberate plot. And the one behind it was the one she had once trusted. The Dupree family stood like statues. They had believed that Joey would be the heir, the one to protect the family name, the one to bring strength to fight against the outside forces. But now, before their eyes, was not the heir, but the one who had put an end to the fragile peace that this family had once held. Behind the shock, calculating looks began to appear. An arrest was not simply the fall of one person, but the beginning of a ruthless power struggle. Joey was led away amid endless whispers, and at that moment, other masks began to fall. Randy, the one who released the video, was neither afraid nor confused. His eyes were not those of someone who had accidentally discovered the truth, but of someone who had waited for this moment for a long time. Deep down, this was not just an act of denunciation, but a political attack calculated down to every detail. Randy understood that this blow would not only destroy Joey, but also shake the very foundations of the Dupree family's power. He didn't just want to expose the truth, he wanted to seize the power vacuum that would follow. As the crowd reeled, the Dupree family began to react in their own ways. Some retreated, trying to distance themselves from Joey as if the truth were contagious. Others began to weigh the stakes. When one pillar fell, who would step up? A silent race began without anyone saying a word. Danny stood there, tears welling in her eyes, but there was more than just pain. There was intense anger, betrayal, disgust, and fear. She realized she had been placed in the center of a game she didn't even know she had. Joey had not only betrayed his family, but she had betrayed her. He had used her affection, her trust as a cover to hide his murderous plans. In the shadows, a few other faces wore faint smiles that were full of hidden meaning. Not everyone was saddened by Joey's capture. For some, his downfall was a rare opportunity. A chance to change the balance of power, to take the place he once held. Conspiracy begot conspiracy. Knives hidden in sleeves now waiting for the chance to strike. The police left, leaving the room in chaos. But the real chaos wasn't outside, it was brewing inside each of them. Each person carried their own fears, their own calculations, their own anger. Doug's death was no longer a private tragedy, but a bomb that had ignited a series of simmering conflicts in the community. Randy, in the midst of the commotion, felt a cold satisfaction spread through his body. He had done what no one else dared, take down Joey. But deep down, he knew that what had happened today was only the first step. The price of cornering someone like Joey would not be simple. Joey had allies. And those who had relied on him would not leave the person who had torn apart that network of power alone. Randy had entered a war from which he could not turn back. In the Dupree clan's closed-door meeting afterward, the looks were no longer kinship. Some wanted to disown Joey, others wanted to protect their family honor by controlling the media. Some were secretly planning to take over the company that Joey held a majority stake in. The atmosphere was thick and stifling, as if anyone could stab the other in the back. Danny, after her shock, became the center of attention again. She was the one who had been with Joey, the one who had been with him through all his glory years. Now, all eyes were on her, not out of sympathy, but because she was the key link in tracing everything back. Some believed she knew. Others wanted to use her as a tool to protect or destroy Joey. Danny became prey among the predators. From the outside, the news spread quickly. In just a few hours, the entire Behind the Gate community, which had always prided itself on its luxury and reputation, was now covered by a storm of public opinion. Those who once cherished the Dupree name now whispered as if they were witnessing a fractured empire. Praise turned to curses. Admiring glances turned to scorn and suspicion. Joey was locked in an interrogation room, but the real battle was taking place outside. Some wanted to save him, not out of love, but out of vested interests. Some wanted to push him deeper into the pit, so they could rise from the rubble themselves. And at the center of that maelstrom, Danny had to choose, to be a victim swept away, or to take control of her own fate. She stood in the cold bathroom of the mansion, looking into the mirror, her eyes red. In her heart, the love that once burned for Joey was now a pile of ashes soaked with the smell of betrayal. She remembered the words he had said, the hugs that seemed sincere, and felt disgusted. She also remembered Doug's eyes that fateful night, unaware that he had become a pawn to be pushed to his death. Danny knew that this truth didn't just kill one person. It killed trust, killed honor, killed the stability that this community had built up over years. Every relationship, every secret agreement, every piece of power began to crack. No one knew who was friend and who was foe. Anyone would betray the other if it meant survival. On the other side of the city, Randy sat in a locked room, watching the articles circulate. His plan had initially succeeded, but deep down, he knew he had become a target. By exposing Joey, he had challenged the entire power structure that had existed for years. Anger, revenge, persecution would come. He had climbed the mountain, but below was a sea of fire. In the underground power circles, calls began to pour in. Promises were broken. Secret alliances were broken. Some wanted to quickly create a new figure to replace Joey, to control the damage. Others wanted to use the chaos to tear apart the old system. And in that chaos, Danny became a valuable pawn. She knew, whether she wanted to or not, she would be drawn into that vortex. She had enough information in her hands to save Joey, or push him deeper into the abyss. Every decision she made could shape the future of this entire community. Anger made her want to see him pay, but fear held her back. If Joey fell, those behind him would turn on her as the next target. Night fell. In the false silence, calculations spread like toxic smoke. Joey was tied up in the cold cell. Randy prepared for his next move. The Dupree clan is divided into secret factions. Danny stands at a crossroads where no one can trust anyone anymore. Doug's death, once called an accident, now becomes the spark that ignites everything. No more love. No more honor. Only power, betrayal, and steps toward the abyss. Each character has entered a battle with no way back, where trust is a luxury and betrayal is a survival instinct. And from that night, the battle for control of this closed community officially begins, not with gunfire, but with hatred, cold calculations, and hearts rotting from within. In the days that followed, silence settled over the town like a thick, suffocating fog. It was not the kind of silence born from peace but the kind that festers in the cracks of broken trust. Every corner seemed heavier, every glance carried suspicion, and every whispered word felt like the echo of something already lost. Joey's arrest had not simply removed one man from the community, it had ripped open a wound that would never fully heal. Danny no longer recognized the world around her. The faces she once trusted had hardened into masks of judgment, fear, or quiet calculation. The Dupree family, once a pillar of stability, now carried the weight of shame like an unshakable shadow. Randy's actions, though wrapped in the banner of truth, had turned friends into enemies, allies into strangers. What should have been a moment of justice felt instead like the beginning of a slow, cold unraveling. At the edge of the cemetery, the wilted flowers from Doug's memorial still clung to their stems, as if refusing to let go of what little remained. But the truth was out now, and truth has a way of burning through everything soft and familiar. No apology could rebuild what had been torn apart. No court ruling could restore what trust had been lost. The town moved forward, but it did so limping, broken, and unsure of itself. For some, Doug's death had been a tragedy, for others, it was a carefully played game. And for everyone who remained, it was a haunting reminder that beneath the surface of even the most peaceful places, darkness is always waiting, patient and cruel.